and welcome back. I am so excited to be here today. I am in New York City, sitting with Jason Wachob. It's hard, it's complicated. Now, Jason is not only the author of this amazing book, but the creator, the brains behind MindBodyGreen. So I am so excited to be here with him today. So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, it's an honor.
Oh, awesome. So tell us about the inspiration behind this book. How did this come about?
Sure, so about a little over 2.5 years ago, my 39th birthday, I'm 41 now, I wrote a blog post, 39 life lessons I've learned in 39 years. Very spur of the moment, woke up in the morning, just felt like writing it, and wrote it, and posted really well. And a literary agent read the post and wrote into the general inbox at MindBodyGreen and said, you know, I love the post, I love the site, I think if you expand upon these ideas, there's potentially a book here. And so of course I didn't reply. I thought to myself, it's not a book, I'm not naive, it's a blog post, I don't have the time for a book, like I've got enough of a problem finding hours in the day. So I didn't reply. And then a couple of weeks later, she sent a package to our office with another note and a book. And the note once again introduced herself and said, I think there's a book here, and she suggested reading the book that she had sent that she thought could be similar in structure and format to my book. So I was traveling the next day and I actually read the book, and then I was like, holy cow, I think I could do this. And then just started writing that whole summer, and in a lot of ways, the idea from that point on was, what was the book that I wish I had 15 or so years ago when I was just on this journey that would have saved me thousands of dollars in the self-help aisle. So this is it.
Amazing. So, you've come from a very sporty background. How did you end up in this huge office, in this wellness space? I mean, give us a little bit of a nutshell on how this kind of unfolded for you.
Sure. So I went to Columbia here in the States. I played basketball, then became an equities trader, and found out very shortly after that that money did not indeed buy happiness at all, and sort of had one foot out the door and became an entrepreneur, and led me to another company where I was flying 150,000 miles domestic in a year. I'm 6'7", coach seat. That's why I don't fly to Australia. Unless you have friends who want to give me a lift in a plane. So I had 2 extruded discs in my lower back, pressing on my sciatic nerve. It was an old basketball injury, and then the stress and flying sort of exacerbated it. My right leg was like a lightning rod, excruciating pain. I could not walk, it was terrible. Went to a surgeon, he said, you need back surgery, did the MRI, the x-rays, and said you need back surgery, simple as that. So decided to seek a second opinion, and he said the same thing. He said, you need back surgery.
How old were you at this age?
I was like 35, 36. And I was in great shape too, and that was the thing. It became very clear to me that health was more than just the body, because at the time I was in great shape, but I was falling apart. So it was almost like an afterthought. He said, yoga might help. So I was like, okay, I'll try yoga, and started with 10 to 15 minutes of light yoga in the morning and at night, and then I started to feel better, and it sort of opened a can of worms for me. I started to look at things like spirituality, stress, nutrition, inflammation. I was a guy whose diet consisted of steak and martinis. I thrived on that, or maybe didn't thrive. And so looked at inflammation and the power of eating more plants and the environment, and all these things were connected, and combined with yoga, and yoga was a big part of it, I completely healed over the course of a few months, so I'm fine. I never got surgery. So I was like, holy shit, everyone's got this wrong. True health is this lifestyle. MindBodyGreen, no one's talking about this.
Wow, so that's how it was birthed.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, did it just start then with you writing on the website, or did you always have contributors? Because now it's like this ginormous hub.
Yeah, 4,000 contributors.
4,000 of the best contributors, around the world. Did it start with just you writing?
It did, and it was very organic. It started with me doing a post a day, and I was smart enough to know that I didn't know everything. So I'm going on my, I'm was passionate about this. I'm on my own health and wellness journey. And so I was, running around meeting people, and along the way, I met all these incredible doctors and yogis and nutritionists, and a lot of them became friends. And then along the way, a couple of them, raised their hand and said, do you accept guest posts? And I said, sure, that sounds like a good idea. And so our probably first 50 or 100 contributors were all friends, and I connected with all these people around the world, like Jess, who I know, God bless her soul, I met her years ago. So all these people, so it just happened very organically, and the next thing you know, it was 100, 200, and I was like, shit, I can't control. We had to hire some people and so forth, but it's been awesome.
Did it start as being called MindBodyGreen, or did you start under another name? Or?
Yeah, MindBodyGreen.
Wow, and how long has it been going now?
So we launched the site in 2009, so 7 years. We had the site in 2007, in beta. We were all doing other things, so it's been a while.
Okay, 2 questions. Did you know it was going to be this big?
No.
No. Second question. Did you ever see yourself as a writer, an author? You were on Wall Street and a basketball player.
Right.
And then you're all of a sudden writing on blog posts and becoming a published author. How did you get your head around that? Because I know, it's as being a writer and any sort of artist, it's very exposing, and you can feel very vulnerable.
Sure.
And your mean girl, or in your term, your bad boy, can rear its ugly head and plant seeds of doubt that, who are you to write a book? And you're not qualified enough, and all those things. So how did you deal with that internal critic?
Sure. I don't really have that.
Yeah?
Have
you ever, to a degree?
Right. Not really. I can be critical of myself, of other people. I'm human. But I've always been a believer you can do anything you set your mind to. It's a question of passion and work ethic. It was one of those things. What's great about the MindBodyGreen community is I'm friends with so many amazing people doing amazing things, and so it's not I've got loads of friends who've written books, including you, and so you see other people do it, and it's shit, I can do that.
Yeah, if they can do it, I can do it.
And that's just, it's not a situation where I don't know anyone who's written a book, and there's people around me being oh, that seems so difficult. How do you have time to do that? Whereas most of the people I surround myself with are all people who are doing things like writing books. So, it can't help but rub off. So yes, not naive to how time-consuming it was, but I just said, all right, let's do it. Let's go for it.
Have you always surrounded yourself with those type of people, though? Because I can't imagine that you've always done that.
Sure. Yes and no. I think in life, early on, you're in high school, you don't choose your friends, and college you sort of do, and I have great friends from high school and college, but you end up doing different things, and life changes. And in health and wellness, what's so unique is there are so many people who are passionate about what they do. There are actually a lot of couples also who are in this, which has been great. And that's, I think, unique to health and wellness. You don't find that in other industries where it's such a passion point. And that's really powerful, to be around people who are so passionate about what they're doing, the energy that's in a room when you're surrounded by these people, it's palpable. So it's been kind of awesome and inspiring. One of my favorite things about what I do.
Yeah, connecting with these people, it's just unbelievable. Having these sorts of conversations, isn't it just amazing?
It is, it really is.
I'm just joking.
It's okay. Do you want some water?
I'm good.
Okay.
Oh God. It is really amazing. I'm the same as you. I saw all of my friends becoming authors, not all of them, but I saw quite a few of my friends become, Jess being one of them. And I was like, she can do it. Why can't I do it?
Right.
But so many people then let their mean girl or their bad boy plant those seeds and hold them back. So what would you suggest to someone who wants to write a book or wants to start an amazing online space similar to what you have done, but they have so much fear?
Sure. I believe it's a balance. So I believe in having the big vision, so to speak, and believing that this big thing, whatever it may be, is possible. And then 2, I believe in little wins, baby steps. So like, what's that one thing you're going to do today? Like, you have to do something. So if it's writing, for example, like, just get up and write. Like, if you have to, like, when I wrote the book, every time I wrote it flying on airplanes. So that was how I solved the time problem. I don't have time, I'm busy enough here. So every time I flew that summer, I wouldn't opt for the Wi-Fi on the flight, and I would write.
How long did that take?
The whole summer, and I had like 50,000 words. But with writing, I didn't go back, and one of the best pieces of advice I got was like, don't go back and edit, don't look at it, just like write, like fart it out, like just get it out of you, and then go back and edit. Because otherwise, you speak of like, people being critical of themselves. Like, if you start to write and you go back and you don't like the sentence and you're crossing it out, next thing you know, it's like that scene in a movie where like you're ripping up the paper out of a typewriter. So I think it's just, you just gotta get it out of you and see what happens.
Be the vessel, I say. You just got to let it flow through you.
Especially when it's personal, just like write. When you're, there's that great line, I think it's like Somerset Maugham, it's, and you have to force yourself to do it. Like, you can't wait for inspiration to strike. His line is like, inspiration strikes precisely at 9 a.m. every morning.
Yeah.
So it's like, whatever you're doing, if this is something that you're committed to, you have to go do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And did you have, through the editing process, any of that fear come out? Like, this is crap, or what am I doing? Or wanting to cross it out?
Right. No, I'm not like, maybe, it wasn't that bad, to be honest with you. Like, sure, it was editing and there was a lot of work involved, but I sort of put my faith in the editors and the publisher to help me get the best book. And so far, so good. Yeah,
it's amazing. I absolutely love it.
Oh, you're so sweet.
So you are incredibly successful and such a wealth of knowledge and such a powerful entrepreneur in the wellness space. What has been your biggest lesson?
Sure. It's this idea of finding the middle path. I think it's something that's actually come out a lot as I've done this mini book tour. And so you have people who are passionate about this. You have people who are, want to create businesses, create lives of abundance and, meaning and purpose. And so usually people fall into two camps. One is, I'm a type A, I'm just gonna like plow forward, I'm gonna break down the door and put my head down and that's it. So you've got that, and then you've got other people who just like want to sit on the couch and do affirmations and like manifest it and not work for it. And that doesn't work either. And so, but I do believe spiritually in those principles. So it's like this middle path where it's this idea of, yes, I'm gonna work my ass off, but I think we all come to moments, and I've come to numerous moments, in running a business where you get to a point you're trying to break down a door, it's just not happening, not for a lack of effort, but having the ability to like take a step back and like, be aware and look, okay, it's not this door, but like, is this door over here like wide open and I'm not noticing it? Maybe that's the right door. So it's this balance of like plowing ahead, but also being connected spiritually and having that awareness and connection to take a step back. Because I think, we're naive in that yes, I believe in accountability and being in control of your life, but at the same time, you have to be aware that there's something much larger at play, whatever you believe that to be. And so it's that balance. Like, you can't just lay on the couch and like repeat affirmations. Like, that's not gonna do it. You have to do the work. And so it's this balance. I think a lot of people struggle with that. It's like one or the other. Very easy to say, hard to do.
Yeah. How do you find the balance in your life?
I work at it. It's still tough for me. Meditation's been huge for me. I do Vedic meditation, repeat a mantra over and over, meditate every day, try to do twice a day. Sometimes I don't do twice a day, but I never miss a day. And just like this balanced approach to life. It's something, I talk a lot about in the book. I just believe that like one size fits all hard charging approach, unless you have to do so for health reasons, or you just know that you have to do that. For most people, it doesn't work. So it's like the middle path, like with regards to diet, with regards to fitness, like what's the lifestyle that's sustainable versus all or nothing or just lazy.
And do you find that this balance is something that you work on constantly?
Sure. Sure. Like, yeah, absolutely. It's hard. You know, I say, I was joking, someone was saying the other day, I was doing a book event, like, so you're a conscious workaholic.
Yes.
It's like you're conscious of it, like you understand that. Like and so, yeah, it's something, you know, I think a lot of wellness entrepreneurs can relate to. You know, something I've joked and shared with people too. It's this idea of like, all this wellness is making me sick. You know, it's like I'm working so hard. You know, we're changing lives. It's awesome, but like, what happened to my yoga practice? Like,
my self-love.
Yeah, what happened to that? So it's something like I'm definitely mindful of, and I've learned to build a life around what works and what's sustainable. So, you know, early on, when yoga like saved my life, I go to public yoga classes like every day. And then every day became every other day, and then it was every other week, and then I was like, whoa, what happened? Like, I really like yoga, and it's just missing now. So what happened next was, okay, I can do yoga every weekend for like 20 minutes, and that I can never miss. So I committed to that, and then meditation became a bigger part of my wellness routine. So I created a routine that really worked for my life versus just, when people try to do one or the other, sometimes it's hard.
And then they beat themselves up if they...
Yeah, and then you miss, and then and then next thing you know, your diet goes off and everything. So
Yeah. I think for me as well, it's about finding what works for you.
Yep.
Really finding, and that's what you talk about a lot in the book. It's like no one size fits all, whether that's to do with the way you eat, you know, your business, your meditation, your exercise. Like, there's no one way.
Yep.
And it's about finding what really works for you. And I love, like, you now have the awareness to notice when you haven't been giving yourself as much love and care.
Yep.
Where before we'd just be like, go, go, go. And now you have that awareness.
Yep. And I think that's the power of practices like meditation and yoga. You're more tuned into your body, to your mind. You know, you become a better listener. I would say yoga makes you a better listener. Whereas if you're just like charging hard and you're, you know, exercising in that manner too, it's like you're losing touch. You're losing that connection. Like, and that's, you know, a little bit of mindlessness rather than mindfulness. And so that's why I love yoga so much. Like, gets you in tune, you're more connected. It's like, this is what I feel, like this is what I need. You know, you're practicing easy, you're practicing slow, you're practicing connection versus like, I'm just running on the treadmill.
Yeah.
Or, you know, it's almost like a metaphor for life.
Absolutely. So let's flip things and just chat a little bit more about the businessy side of things.
Sure.
You know, because there's so many people out there that, you know, look at MindBodyGreen and just be like, wow, it's amazing. And lots of wellness entrepreneurs out there. What are like 3 lessons that you've learned in this wellness entrepreneurial online space? Have you got 3 lessons or nuggets?
Sure. Don't do anything unless you're passionate about it. You know, I think, you know, being an entrepreneur and being part of things that have worked and not worked, you know, no matter what you're doing, I think it's so rare when things just take off from the beginning. Like MindBodyGreen took years and years before we really made it. And we still have a way to go. You know, I find that for most people, you know, you will have that dark night of the soul, so to speak, when like things aren't going well and you're working your ass off. So like, if you're not passionate about it, if like the goal is only to make money, A, you'll probably give up, and then B, when you finally accomplish that goal and you have the money, it'll be a very empty feeling. Like money's nice, you can buy things, you buy freedom and certain things, which is nice, but at the end of the day, it'll be an empty feeling. And then 2, like, I don't think everyone's made to be an entrepreneur. I would say if you're not really comfortable with ambiguity, then it's not for you. You never have enough information. There's always something hanging over your head. There's always a problem. If you can't live like that, then you should not do it. Like, you literally have to be able to, you know, at night, just like put something over here and say like, I'm dealing with that tomorrow, or I don't have the information over this over here, or this is terrible, and just like shut it out and go to bed and then wake up and turn it back on and off. So that's a big thing. And then I also think, like, especially in American culture, being an entrepreneur is glorified right now with Silicon Valley and venture capital and unicorns and billion-dollar companies. I think raising capital and scaling, although really great and can help grow businesses, is often the worst thing people can do because it just magnifies your problems. Scaling, so there's another great line, it's like advertising or marketing is the best way to kill a bad product. So if you don't have the right people, if you don't have the right product, if you don't have the right process in place, and then you just throw a lot of capital against that, everything gets magnified. And it's extremely difficult to pivot, to steer the ship in the right direction. So it's just like something to be super mindful of for people who are out there with pipe dreams of, I'm going to go raise $1 zillion and this and that, and that's great. But I just think you really have to, people, process, product has to be like so in line whenever you do that.
What are a couple of the MindBodyGreen core team values? Do you have like some values, or
Sure.
When you're hiring, what do you look for?
So it's funny. So like hiring's been tough, and we're very good at it now. But we've grown from 1 to, I think we're 33 employees, and a couple of things I've learned. One is, who may be good for hires 1 to 10 is not the same as like 20 to 30 and so on. And as the team grows, when we're 5 people sitting in a small office, everyone would just sit around and say, do you think this is a good idea? Yes, can you do it? Great. When you go north of 30 and you have people report to me, and then they have people report to them, like you have these subcultures that form. So it's so important that these pillars and team leaders are set. And we found that people who exhibit, there are 2 things you can't teach, and people who exhibit these qualities. And so then we have data, people who've been great and people who haven't been great. I would say passion and work ethic. There's an old basketball player that used to say, you can't teach height. You can't teach passion. So like, are you passionate about what you do? Like, are you passionate about like the subject matter? Are you passionate about like, being the best you can be? And then work ethic, like, do you work hard? Like, do you things like you can't teach, like I can teach, we can teach skills, but you can't teach someone to be passionate about something. You can't teach someone to work hard. And so those are the 2 things.
How do you look for that though? Like, because someone could come into an interview and be like, yeah, I'm totally passionate and I work hard and all talk.
Sure.
So how do you look for it?
You can like drill down in the interview process. Like there are certain questions we ask, and then you can sort of drill in there and see how people think, how they respond. You can tell a lot about how they answer questions. Do they blame other people? Do they take accountability? Like we've gotten quite good at it.
Yeah, it's a skill.
Yeah, and we've learned, and I think every startup struggles with this, is getting the right people. And then once you get it, it's magical. Yeah. So much of, you could have the greatest mission in the world, we could have the greatest, and it's could, like our mission, we've got a great poster on there, and we could have a deck and all these things, but like, what does that look like on a daily basis? Like, what is the culture? It's more than just, having it on the wall or on a deck. How do people interact on a daily basis? And once you get the right people, it's a lot easier.
I agree. Now you work with your wife. Colleen works here as well. How do you find working together? And
Sure.
I mean, what do you do for setting boundaries?
Sure. We love working together. We're both so passionate about wellness. It's our world. We love what we do. We're incredibly blessed there. We get to walk to work. Our apartment's 3 blocks away. And so many of our friends are in this space, and there really is no separation. Work and play are one, which is beautiful, but like, speaking to boundaries, sometimes it's tough. We don't have any children yet, so like, in many ways, this is our child. And frequently we catch ourselves at night saying things like, okay, one more work comment, like that's it, and then we're done. And then it leads to another, and sometimes, I'll want to shut off, but she doesn't, and vice versa. So it's something we've had to work at, and like really make time to say like, okay, like this is going to be our time and not work time. But we actually work quite well together. We work very differently, which is, I think, very complementary. So we're definitely lucky there. Because sometimes couples working together, it's not work so well.
Yeah,
but for us it does.
Absolutely. And I think it's beautiful that you can see you can complement each other,
Yep.
and also like the setting of the boundaries, because obviously it's so important. You know, otherwise, you're just laying in bed and you're like, and then this, and like, you know, my husband and I are the same. We're like, oh my God, this idea. And then he'll be like, baby, no more. And I'm like, okay, all right. But then this, you know, and it just goes and goes and goes. But setting those boundaries is really important if you want to keep you married.
Yes.
So any other tips for people that wanting to start in this wellness space, the online space?
You know, I think you really have to be passionate about it. I think you really have to be patient. Things take a while. It took MindBodyGreen like 5 or 6 years before I knew it was going to be successful. 3 of those did not pay myself at all. So like very understanding wife and Colleen. My co-founders, Tim and Carver, kept their day jobs and were working nights and weekends. Colleen would chip in on the weekends and at night. So things take a while.
I think we live in a culture now where we want everything yesterday.
Yeah, and especially it doesn't really happen that way, and especially like building a great brand, which I think we have, building trust, building a community, like all these things that are really important to us and have made us really successful. You just can't build overnight. Like you can't just go out and say like build community. Like we have community because it came from a very authentic place and it happened over time, naturally and organically. Like it just happened. And so that's the one thing I think, you know, be in it for the right reasons and be very, very patient. You know, ask yourself the question, am I prepared to do this for the rest of my life and not really make a lot of money doing it? And if the answer is yes, then
you're on the right track.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. And what does the future look like for MindBodyGreen?
Sure.
Have you got any big plans or goals?
So more of everything.
Yeah.
So more great content. More great online classes, which we will have one with you very soon. Yes. More events. We do this great event called Revitalize, which we're planning again for next year.
Is that like a once a year event?
Once a year, but we may do more of them, so stay tuned.
Come to Australia.
I love that.
Yes.
So more events, and then I could see us doing some sort of products down the line, which could be interesting. But like that's more of everything. You know, we want to be, you know, wherever you are in your life, you know, we want to help you be your best self. And we believe it's this combination of mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, and environmental well-being, you know, what I call wealth. So we want to be there for you, whatever stage you're at, whether you're new to this stuff or you're seasoned, like wherever you're at, we hope you come to MindBodyGreen and we can help you do that, whatever that looks like. So that's like the big goal.
I think you guys are doing a very good job at it.
Thank you.
And what do you predict in terms of how the internet's going to grow? And
sure,
you know,
I have a lot to say about that.
Yeah, like where's it going to go to from here?
So there are a couple things. I can speak to media, which I think are really interesting. One is, I think the great media companies have already been born. Like I think that window's been closed. I think social media, for instance, platforms have allowed a lot of media companies to grow very quickly. Those platforms are closing. So like the primary platforms, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, and Snapchat to some degree.
Instagram?
It's closed. Yeah. Instagram too, but less for me. I think more for individuals.
Yes.
But I think those platforms, and the latest Instagram, you know, using an algorithmic feed now. I think the platforms have made that, specifically Facebook, it's not so easy to grow really fast. So I think, and you have platforms where people consume content in very different ways. So as a publisher, you have to have content on different platforms, which is different. Like how you consume content as Instagram is different than on your site or Facebook or YouTube. So it's like you're doing content everywhere. So that requires a lot of resources. And so we're in an age where you need resources to produce content. You have to have a really strong brand that can live on multiple platforms. So like if I'm on Instagram, I see your brand, I really connect with it, it's strong, so then I remember it, and then go to your website. If your brand's not strong, you're gonna forget. So you need a really strong brand that can live on multiple platforms. So like, I think that's really interesting with media, but I think like there's like a big consolidation happening with media. You've got like really big companies, really big brands that are all going for massive scale in terms of reach. And then you've got people who are sort of carving out their areas, which I think we are. And then there's like the middle, where maybe you have a lot of traffic, but you really don't have a strong brand, or maybe you have a strong brand, but you don't really have any traffic. Like, that's disappearing. So it's like really interesting.
Yeah, and it's the brand has to translate across all of the platforms.
Yeah,
there has to be
strong.
that congruency.
Yep, and it's got to be really tight, and people have to connect with it. Otherwise, like, I'm consuming this brand here, but I see it over there, but I'm not making the connection. Like, when your brand is really strong and connects with people in multiple places and they remember it, like, then you've got something really special. If it doesn't, you're just sort of toast.
Yeah, well, I think you guys do a really great job of that.
Thanks, we're trying.
Yeah. Well, I am so grateful that we've been able to have this chat today, and I loved your book. I devoured it very, very quickly. It's amazing. It's called Wealth, spelt WELLTH, which I love.
Awesome.
Very cool. How did you come up with that?
I just like the word.
Yeah.
and it's something that I was incredibly passionate about in redefining true well-being. You know, I really think it is that blend of mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, and environmental well-being, and building a life and not a resume. And you know, I'm passionate about that shift. I went through it personally, and I think a lot of other people are now too. So just wanted to put that out there for people. So.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I just realized, you know, both of our titles mine has wildly wealthy in it, and it's you know, when I'm referring to wealth as well, I'm not just referring to the size of your bank account.
Yep.
I'm referring to being rich in every area
Yep.
of your life. So we've got a lot of similarities. This book is amazing, and I highly recommend you guys go out and get it and devour it. You will devour it. But thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. It's an honor.